For the most part, every Indian war someone can think of has a certain flavor, touch to it. That, like the Apaches, the Comanches, the wars of the East, but none of those wars ever had this exact flavor as Red Cloud did in Red Cloud's War. And this war was perhaps one of the biggest disasters, besides the decline, for the whites in the West. This is the story of the Fetterman Massacre. Now, the year is 1866. There's gold discovered in Virginia City, Montana, and a man named John Bozeman makes a new trail heading up through the Bose Trails into Virginia City. It's called the Bozeman Trail. The Bozeman Trail does pass through the Sioux, the Indians, with sacred and best hunting grounds, but I mean, who cares about that? They go through, or they're killing buffalo, and it kind of pisses off the Sioux, especially a war chief named Red Cloud. And they start, harassing the wagon trains, and this also pisses off the government, so they send Colonel Henry Carnington to set up, to be put in command of the force of different forts, outposts along the trail. Carnington was in the Civil War. He raised the 18th Infantry, but himself never really fought with them. He was somewhere else while the 18th were going the trials by fire at, Murfreesboro, where half the men were killed. His officers never let him forget this. He was a handler of supplies, not men. This would later prove to be little part of Carnington's downfall. He was 42 years old at the time, and he began working on the new force. So Carnington makes several forts, including Fort Kearney, the big famous one, C.F. Smith, and several dozen different outposts. Carnington, his big flaw was he wasn't a leader. Like I said, he handled supplies, and he just was not a strong field commander. Although he had dreamed of being a commander in the field, and wouldn't get his first taste until the Indian Wars, he proved to be kind of a faulty commander. Now, Carnington was an engineer before the war, and he chose Fort Kearney pretty darn well. It was next to a creek. It was over top of everything, and you could look around, see the area. Good grazing land. It was pretty good. It's a pretty beautiful spot if you see it. One flaw about it, though, it was just too far away from any, wood. That was one of the big mistakes. He starts operating the Fort Kearney, and they need to send wagon trains out to bring back the wood. I guess kind of timber trains, you can call them whatever you want. Naturally, these wood trains fall under attack by the Sioux, and Chief Red Cloud has a huge force of Sioux, Cheyenne, all these other tribes, and they're in a big, huge camp near present-day Sheridan, Wyoming. The wood cutting is a very, very tricky, dangerous job, and not a lot of people want to do it. And usually, when it comes under attack, the men in there will circle the wagons up, I guess, and a relief detachment from the fort would head back out and relieve them. So, Carnington has needs reinforcements, and in November he gets some. 80 men, commanded by Captain, sorry, William Judd Fetterman, 33 years old. Unlike his commanding officer, Fetterman is a fighting man. He fought with the 18th, unlike Carnington, throughout the Civil War. He was a pretty good soldier, mentioned in several dispatches for bravery, maybe not brains, and through the field, the smoke of the battlefield, he gained a confidence in himself, I guess. He felt he was somehow destined to be this great commander, like I don't know, Grant or I don't know. He he was just very full of himself, kind of selfish guy. Uh, and he thought, you know, the Indians were cowards. They were afraid of death. Unlike, the whites in the Civil War, they died in droves. But the Indians, they didn't like taking too many casualties. He thought regular soldiers getting, defeated or beat back by Indians was just kind of ridiculous. And, I mean, who wouldn't? They're savages. I don't know. His big boast was that with 80 men, he could ride through the entire Sioux Nation. Well, as soon as he gets to Fort Kearney in November of 1866, he starts giving Carnington all this bullcrap. Just about, he just his command. And yes, given Carnington wasn't a good commander in the field, um, but he seemed to Fetterman. It probably seemed he was more defensive. He believed a big, huge, punishing attack on the Sioux would kick their butt a little, would make them back down. That's what he thought, and he thought it was kind of it's kind of disgraceful that the Indians could attack the wood train and just leave as soon as someone shows up. He votes for attack. And the man in the fort really liked this talk, and he gains little popularity. He has several several of the men under his command really agree with him. Fetterman and a hot-blooded cavalryman named Lieutenant George Drummond, who also fought through the Civil War. Pretty brave guy. Also had a lot of the same views as Fetterman. A regimental quartermaster named Frederick Brown. He was a captain. He was balding, good-natured man, but he felt he'd been passed over for promotion, honors, and stuff like that. Brown, he pursued the Indians recklessly, but he actually delayed a transfer east because he wanted to personally take care of Red Cloud's scalp. I mean, why not? Anyhow, and they start giving him this bull crap. And Carnington, you see, a strong commander would say, "Hey, yo, you kind of don't say that to your commanding officer," and I don't know, arrest him or kick him out or insubordination. That's what it is. But instead, Carnington kind of goes along with it. This is another this proves how, I guess um bad of a commander of men he is. Um, Fetterman just accuses him of cowardice. It's kind of, like that. Now, 50 miles from the fort in that Sheridan place, Red Cloud, Roman Nose of the Cheyenne, and other men have about several thousand fighting men at their disposal. Now, on December 6th, they attacked the wood train, like they usually have done. And Carnington marched out with a little clumsy counterattack force and gets attacked by hundreds and hundreds of warriors. In fact, at one point he's briefly surrounded um, by all of these Indians. He manages to break out, but 2 are killed and 5 wounded, including uh, two lieutenants, I think are called Benning something. I'm not sure. And this kind of, Carrington kind of learns here, yo, this is serious stuff. Less than 2 weeks later, on December 19th, Red Cloud strikes again, posing 2,000 warriors in hiding. He staged another decoy attack on the wood train, but this time, Carrington made a cleaner escape. He sent a relief detail under Captain James Powell. So Powell runs over, relieves the wood train, and when he sees the Indian decoys, he didn't know they were decoys, running over the ridge, he's like, he doesn't go after him. Because, he's not a pothead like Fetterman and has some sense. He goes back, and there's no incident in there. Good for him. Now, next day, Carrington puts a little heavier force to guard the wood train, and no incident that day. Lucky him. And now, to talk about the Fetterman Massacre, you gotta also talk about this little guy. I'm not sure if you heard of him. His name's Red Cloud. Not Red Cloud. Crazy Horse. And this guy loved killing bluecoats. I mean, he's an Indian. What do you expect? Anyway, he's a pretty good guy. He's a little shy, but he actually has kick butt power. He uses it a lot on the army. Fetterman Massacre be just real good demonstration of what he can do, and he usually later use that at the little bighorn when he kicked Custer's butt too. Before all the Indians gathered around where the massacre site would be, and it's December. It's pretty cold. And they have this little medicine man guy. He's rides around the battlefield. He's trying to get a vision or something. He's blowing on whistles and doing I don't know what he does. Anyway, he goes over and he says, "Hey yo, I got 5 troopers in each hand. If we, lay an ambush here." And Red Cloud's like, "No, I want more than that, just 5." So he goes around, blows on some whistles some more, and he comes back and he says, "Hey yo, 20 soldiers. That's pretty good. In each hand, in my hands." And Red Cloud says, "No, I want more." So he goes around 50, 60, and he comes back and says, "I have 100, actually 80 soldiers in each hand." And the Indians go berserkus on it, and that is the vision for the Fetterman Massacre, which is gonna come next in part 2. Well, you should check me out later. Thank you.